Hello and welcome back to this week's episode of Crystals with Kate. This week's crystal is going to be Amazonite, one of my personal favorites, and I'm really excited to talk to you guys about this one. So as always, we are going to start out with some of our general information on the crystal. So as you know, Amazonite is a blue-green color, but that blue-green is a variation of microline, which is a type of feldspar. Let's see. The chemical formula is potassium, aluminum, and then silicon and oxides. So it does have that silicon oxide, which is similar to quartz. And its hardness is between a 6 and a 6.5 on Mohs scale of hardness. And then if you were ever to do mineral testing, its streak color would be white. In terms of where it can be found in mines, it's usually found in Russia. The largest mines that we do have are in Russia. There are also some mines in Madagascar and a few isolated areas in the United States where it can be found. Now that you have a little bit of background on the crystal itself, let's chit-chat about its history. So it was once nicknamed the Stone of Courage by multiple different cultures. That nickname kind of traveled with it over time. It was also named for the ancient Mesopotamian warriors. Fun fact, they were female warriors. And they adorned their shields with these Amazonite crystals for protection. They really bonded with the beauty of the crystal, and they really felt like it helped protect them in battle, so they adorned their shields with them before they went into battle. Additionally, this crystal has been used metaphysically for super duper long, and we can really trace its history back to about 16,000 BCE when you have the Sumerians and the Babylonians, and they were using it in terms of crafting seals for official documents. So it's really cool that we have history that's that ancient. We know a lot of our crystals go back pretty far. If you are a Christian or a Jew and you believe in the Bible, whether it's Old or New Testament, depending on your facet of religion there, you would also believe that crystals were used for a very long time there, and that is documentation, but this is a non-biblical source of documentation, which I think is really cool. Another culture that was really attached to it was the ancient Egyptians. They held it in a really high esteem, so much so that King Tut, his tomb, when they went through it, they found a ring that was shaped like a beetle, and it was adorned with Amazonite. So if King Tut wanted to be buried with a crystal like this, obviously it held a lot of importance because he was a very important pharaoh during the Egyptian time that he was alive. It is also often associated with the Book of the Dead. The Book of the Dead is an Egyptian funeral rites passages kind of book. It walks you through how to preserve a body and to bury them, how to create the tomb, and how to do the rituals to help their body cross over. Amazonite being associated with it here means that they obviously have a high regard for it, 1, and 2, that it was used to some degree in death work, which is also super interesting. And then the last fun fact, history-wise, I have is the Jewish high priestess during biblical times would always be wearing a Amazonite amulet, which I also think is really cool. So that is it on my history. We're going to take a break for an ad real quick, and then we will be right back and be talking about the metaphysical and all the healing properties that Amazonite has, because I know that is why all of you are actually here. And now for a quick break to talk about the ways to support the podcast. If you are enjoying what we are doing here on Crystals with Kate, I am so very happy that you are enjoying it. I just wanted to give you a few ways that you can help support the show. The first way is by following us on TikTok and Instagram, which will be linked in my link tree below. I am a small crystal business owner. Any orders to my website or my Etsy shop would be very much appreciated. I also have a spot on my link tree for donations for divination practices, such as pendulum readings and tarot spreads. And last but not least, I do have a Patreon for our show. My Patreon has 4 tiers, and they are each named after a crystal. The first tier is the Jasper tier, and that starts at $3.33 a month. That gets you early access to podcasts, and they are absolutely ad-free. It also gives you a copy of my metaphysical notes for my crystals. Next is the Quartz layer, and that is $7.77 a month. That gives you, again, ad-free early access, and that gives you full crystal notes. So all of the things I'm talking about now, if you wanted a more detailed grimoire page, would be included. My next layer is the fluorite layer, and that is $22.22 a month. Again, you get your full crystal notes, ad-free, and early access to the podcast. And then you also get Happy Mail from me. You get a monthly crystal mystery box, and that would be valued at about $15 to $20 worth of product. Next up, our last and highest tier is the Amethyst tier, and that is $44.44 a month. And once again, you do get full crystal notes, early access, and ad-free. And then you also get a monthly box for $35-ish worth of goodies. That is a guaranteed larger piece or jewelry. So it might be a ring or a bracelet. It may be a small tower, something that really makes this worth your money. So all of these are wonderful ways to support the show. Alrighty guys, now really quick before we jump right back into all of the exciting stuff with Amazonite, there's one more thing I do want to tell you guys about. So if you have been listening for a little while, you do know I was writing a book. So my book is officially published on Amazon. You can get it as a Kindle or you can get it as a paperback book. I will have the links posted for both of these options on the show notes down below or beside, depending on where you're listening. I'm really excited. It is A Witch's Guide to Yule. I was trying to get it done by the 1st of December. We're a little bit behind schedule. Things have been crazy at work. But it is out, so if you want a small book that goes through all of the history of Yule, ancient traditions, modern ways to celebrate crystals and plants, all of the correspondences that go into Yule, it's definitely a really good resource, and it is super affordable as well. So I will leave the link for that below. Please, please, please check it out. All right, on to the metaphysical healing properties of Amazonite. Amazonite is known for soothing trauma and to help calm one's soul. So if you have a lot of trauma that you guys are trying to work through, it's one that I really enjoy working with, trying to get through some of my stuff. When I do shadow work, I keep my Amazonite and my obsidian near me. I really enjoy that combination. It also helps with creating that harmony and balance, and I feel like that goes along with working through your trauma, because once you work through your trauma, you are able to continue on and have that like internal balance and harmony. And it will also help you set your own boundaries and express your feelings. So in order to prevent future trauma from happening, it's really important that you are able to set those boundaries. So again, not only are you able to work through your trauma, get that inner balance, find your peace, but then you're also able to help express yourself better to get the boundaries that you need when working with Amazonite, which also, again, very fascinating. It also helps you in terms of seeing yourself from other people's point of view. So maybe you're trying to work through something or understand the way people see you a little bit better. Amazonite is going to be able to help you kind of remove yourself from situations and look back at them and be like, hey, maybe I didn't handle this the best. Or, no, with myself removed from the situation, I still don't appreciate X, Y, or Z. It really helps you to kind of take yourself out and give it a good broad look. And the next thing is it helps to encourage tidiness and to boost creativity. Don't know about you guys, but I'm pretty sure I could use a lot of tidiness help. So again, love to work with my Amazonite. And the last thing I have for metaphysical and healing properties are the intuition and intellect properties it has. So it really helps you to dive into that natural innate intuition that you have and to really develop your intellect, continue to develop your gifts and your intuition. So if any of that is what you were looking for in a crystal, Amazonite is definitely a good one to work with. All right, so next up we have our physical and our emotional properties. So physically, it helps to balance out your thyroid and it helps with cell regeneration. That has to do with the general vibe that the crystal is putting off and trace minerals that are inside the crystal itself that are beneficial to your body. And it also helps to soothe your nervous system, which makes sense. If you're able to remove that trauma, then you can soothe your nervous system and calm down a little bit. Your next thing is your mental and emotional healing. Again, with soothing that nervous system, your anxiety is going to come down. You're going to heal your past trauma and you're going to find that peace again. And then it's also going to help you get rid of that negative energy. So when you have a lot of trauma that you have to work through, you often spend a lot of time just being negative or bitter because of the way that your trauma affected you or the negative impacts that it had on you. So if that is something you really want to work on once you get through your trauma with Amazonite, definitely hold on to her, keep working with her. Definitely a really good choice. So that brings us to our last section of our podcast, as always, which is our correspondences. So In terms of Amazonite, it is most associated with the throat and heart chakra. For its zodiac, it is most associated with the Virgo. And again, that does not mean if you are a Sagittarius not to work with it. It just means that if you are a sun, moon, or rising with your Virgo, it'll have a little bit more of an impact on you, okay? For example, I'm an Aquarius. None of my top 3 are Virgo, and I still feel a lot of the effects from Amazonite. So definitely, if it's something you want to work with, don't ever be deterred by the main quote-unquote zodiac that a crystal works with. Its planetary association is Uranus, and then its element is water, which kind of looks like water, so makes sense. And then the last thing is its numerology. So the numerological association is the number 5. Number 5 is also associated with the planet Mercury, so I think it's cool that it has a almost dual planetary association there. 5 is also ruling your senses, and it helps with spiritual growth and self-confidence. So again, you get through your trauma. It helps to lift your intuition. You develop your intuitive gifts, and you find that self-confidence again because you're not carrying around all of that negativity. You're not carrying around your trauma, your anxiety. You really just feel comfortable in your own skin again. That is all I have for you guys for this week's episode of Crystals with Kate. Please do not forget to check out the link for my book. It will be in the show notes below, and I will see you guys next week for a fun episode about moss agate. Bye, guys!